My wife, Serafina, has been paralyzed for 6 long, agonizing years since our son, Leo, was born. To take care of her, I walked away from a high-flying career at a top tech company, a future many would kill for, to take on odd jobs, mostly unclogging drains. People would visibly recoil, holding their noses, treating us like we were some kind of social pariahs. Dirty, smelly, and embarrassment. But my son, Leo, he'd just see another dollar earned, another small victory. Dad, he'd say, his voice so small, even my dirty clothes look good if it means mom gets better. All I want is for mom to be healthy. Serafina always insisted that because we were poor, we shouldn't be vain or try to keep up with others. She made Leo, a child of only 6, always shrink away, feeling less than everyone else. But that day, when we went to unclog the drains at an opulent mansion, I saw her sitting in the living room, decked out in designer clothes, dripping luxury from head to toe. A man was practically glued to her side. Serafina held a small boy on her lap, spoon-feeding him a slice of gourmet cake. The kind of cake Leo wouldn't even dare to glance at, let alone dream of tasting. Children need the best from an early age, so they don't grow up insecure, she cooed. Leo's just like his useless dad, dull and clumsy, always dirty and stinking. No one could ever like a kid like that. It's a pity I can't shake off that useless man. If only I could marry you, our company's technical problems wouldn't still be unsolved. Leo silently hung his head, a single tear splashing onto the marble floor. All our efforts, all our sacrifices, were just a pathetic joke in her eyes. I pulled out my phone and accepted the job offer from the rival company to Serafina's family business. I only went abroad to study further so I could help you overcome those technical challenges. But who knew that good-for-nothing parasite would prey on your vulnerability? You were just using him for a bit of fun. Who would have thought he'd drug you and take advantage, even making you have his child? He's absolutely shameless. You should punish him severely, teach him a lesson. I finally saw the man's face. It was Blake, Serafina's first love. He had actually cheated on her, ran off to another country with some other woman, and had a kid with her. He barely passed his classes in college. What did he know about tech? Yet Serafina believed every word he said. Serafina had been the campus queen back in our college days. Countless guys secretly adored her. But after Blake left, she only ever smiled at me. Once we were together, I became the envy of every male student. I loved her, and I never pushed her, never crossed a single boundary. The turning point was our graduation night. When she came back from the party, she was different, unusually forward with me. We spent a wonderful night together. She even defied her wealthy family, choosing to be with a simple guy like me. And after giving birth to Leo, she became paralyzed and bedridden. The campus queen, once so vibrant, had fallen so far. She was tormented by pain day and night, constantly needing someone by her side. To better care for her, I quit my grueling tech job with its insane hours and started taking on all sorts of odd jobs. Besides unclogging drains, I'd make cardboard crafts, move heavy boxes, fix appliances. To pay for her treatments, I even sold the house my parents had painstakingly saved for their entire lives, the one meant for my wedding. Our family of 3 was crammed into a tiny 20-square-meter rental apartment. My hands, once accustomed only to tapping a keyboard, were now grimy and calloused every single day. Everyone lamented the tragic downfall of a coding prodigy, but I just thought that as long as she was by my side, that was enough. I never imagined that all my sacrifices would only earn me the label of useless. And even my son was looked down upon. I pulled out my phone, opened my long-forgotten email, and accepted the job offer from Jocelyn Tech, the rival company to Serafina's family business. The phone rang almost immediately. Your early retirement was a great loss to the entire industry, Mr. Dean. We are deeply honored by your decision to join us. Our company headquarters are located overseas. In 2 days, Ms. Jocelyn herself will fly back to pick you and your son up. When I pushed open the mansion door, Serafina was in the midst of declaring her feelings for Blake, cheered on by a chorus of cheers and playful taunts. Serafina, is this watch a multi-million-dollar collectible? You're really giving it to Blake? Serafina giggled. Blake is a tech guru. A luxury watch like this belongs on a wrist like his. Should I give it to my deadbeat husband, the one who just unclogs drains? There was a decorative screen between the living room and the entrance, so they assumed I wouldn't notice, freely indulging in their mockery. Serafina had even considerately ordered a custom-made, diamond-accented matching watch for Blake's son, Caleb. Our Caleb should never, ever feel second best to anyone, even as a child. Leo quietly hid the pretend smartwatch he'd drawn on his wrist with a ballpoint pen. He must have been so confused. Why was he scolded for being vain just for wanting a $10 toy smartwatch, while she could cradle another child and say that kids deserve the best? The laughter inside continued. Serafina, your wedding to Blake is in 2 days. How did you tell that good-for-nothing husband about the divorce? Let me guess. They mimicked her voice, all dramatic and tearful. Darling, I'm nothing but a burden now, a cripple. I don't want to hold you back. You're the most precious person in my life. Let's get a divorce. Then he'd be on his knees, tearfully swearing eternal devotion, right up until his dying breath. They found it all so amusing that even the nanny beside me couldn't help but snicker, but I couldn't crack a smile, because Serafina had really said those exact words. I had believed her, moved beyond words, and swore I'd never leave her, for this life or any other. I didn't overturn Serafina's table right then. The owner of the plumbing service had been good to me. I couldn't cause trouble for innocent people while on the job. After finishing the agreed-upon drain work, I took Leo and left. But the nanny haughtily stepped in my way. My lady is so generous, the nanny sneered. She told me to offer this piece of cake to your son. A child from his background wouldn't get to taste something like this in a lifetime. Go on, thank my lady and her little master. The cake was a mess, cream smeared, with obvious bite marks from someone else. Serafina actually wanted my son to eat someone else's leftovers and then expected us to be grateful. I ignored ignored the nanny and walked straight out of the mansion with Leo. Dad, am I really so annoying? Even mom doesn't like me. Leo's voice was barely a whisper. It felt like a blunt knife had just plunged into my chest. I pulled him into my arms. Nonsense, Leo. You are the most wonderful boy in the world. One person's opinion doesn't define who you are. It doesn't make it true. His voice was thick with tears. But I love mom so much. I want mom to love me too. I held Leo tightly, the last vestiges of love for Serafina vanishing from my heart. Serafina arrived home a step later than us. She sat panting in her wheelchair, clutching two cheap, artificially colored juice boxes. Leo, Dad, you must be exhausted from work. I specifically went out to buy these for you. Leo, you've always wanted something sweet, haven't you? Seeing my sullen face, she put on a pouty, girlish charm. Darling, I know you worry about me going out alone, but I just wanted to do something for our family too. She gave gourmet cake to another woman's son, but my son had to rely on her charity just to get a sugary juice box. Miss Serafina, I cut her off directly. Don't you think these words are incredibly fake? You know? Her face instantly darkened, and there was even a hint of accusation in her tone. I didn't know what I had done to deserve this. I had sacrificed my future, my dignity, and my parents' life savings for her. Leo was 6 years old and still wearing worn-out clothes others had discarded, only to be called sloppy and dirty by his own mother. I couldn't live this life anymore. I pulled out the divorce papers she had given me earlier and signed my name. Miss Serafina, let's get a divorce. I quickly packed our meager belongings and strode out with Leo in my arms. Serafina stood frozen for a moment, then scurried after us in her wheelchair. There was panic in her eyes. Dean, get back here. You're just a plumber. Where else are you going to find a woman like me, with my connections, my status, if you leave? Leo has always wanted to go to First Academy, hasn't he? You've spoiled him rotten. His grades are awful, and he's so vain, so undisciplined, always sloppy and dirty. A child like that, without a mother with my reputation and influence, would never get into First Academy. I covered Leo's ears and got into the taxi waiting by the curb. The taxi's exhaust fumes seemed to choke Serafina, making her even more agitated. Dean, there's a limit to how childish you can be. I'm giving you a way out. Don't push it, or that chance will be gone. She thought I could never leave her, that I was just playing games out of anger, but she didn't know that I simply didn't love her anymore. Leo stretched out a small hand and wiped away a tear from my eye. Leo will be good, Dad. I'll study hard, and I'll wash myself clean. Please, Mom and Dad, don't argue. My son thought if he just tried a little harder, his mother would love him again. He didn't know that some hearts just can't be warmed. Leo and I checked into a small, unassuming motel. Serafina's wedding was just days away, so I assumed she wouldn't have time to bother us. But to my surprise, she showed up the very next day. I thought she had come to humiliate me again, but she said she wanted to take me to donate blood for Blake's son, Caleb. I tried to kick her out, but a line of burly bodyguards appeared before me. You've sold blood for me before, haven't you? To pay for my treatments? So you know the drill. Your and Leo's blood types match Caleb's. He's just a kid, it won't be much. You won't even feel it. If Caleb makes it, I'll let you stay by my side. Even after I marry Blake, I'll make time to visit you at your dingy apartment. She ignored Leo's cries and forcibly dragged us into her car. For Leo's safety, I had no choice but to go with them. There are strict limits on how much blood a person can donate, but Serafina, wanting to reassure Blake, had them hold me down and forcibly drew 3 massive tubes of blood. I passed out from blood loss. When I opened my eyes, Leo wasn't there. I asked the nurses and learned that Leo was rushed to the ICU. He had been bouncing around, full of life, just a short while ago. How could he suddenly be in such a critical state? I confronted Serafina, but she was annoyed. It's all your fault for spoiling him. A 6-year-old child can't possibly be anemic. He barely had any blood drawn and started faking it. Such a young kid, and already so manipulative. He's bad at studying in vain, isn't he? He just can't stand me being good to Caleb. He probably thinks if Caleb dies, he'll get my money? Dream on. She was convinced Leo was faking, and no matter how the doctors explained, she refused to believe them. All she cared about, all she could see, was Blake's son. My Leo was smart and sensible. How could he possibly be faking?